The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. Stars moved slowly across the endless dark, and ancient satellites floated like dead ghosts. But near the center of the Orion cluster, the silence was broken by a deep alarm ringing inside a giant station known as the Hall of Judgment. Every species feared the station. It was the heart of the Galactic Council, the oldest ruling body in the known universe. Normally, the Council only gathered for great wars or cosmic disasters. But today, something even worse had arrived. A message from a species they had exiled 10,000 years ago. A species everyone believed had died in the outer void. Humans. Council guards rushed through the long metallic hall, their boots echoing against the black floor. The council members, tall, short, insectoid, reptilian, and energy-based life forms, all sat in silence, staring at the floating hologram in the center of the chamber. The hologram kept repeating the same message in a cold and calm tone. "We are returning. Prepare your skies." The voice was human, and it was not afraid. The council speaker, an ancient creature with four glowing eyes, finally spoke. This message, it cannot be real. But the room already felt the truth. Humans were coming back. The younger council members laughed nervously. Humans? The weak primates? They must be a small group lost in space, one of them said. Another waved his hands. Maybe a joke. Maybe pirates pretending to be humans. But the older members did not laugh. Their eyes stayed wide and silent. They remembered the old records, the ones the council tried to erase from history. Humans were not always weak. They were creators, builders, a species that evolved faster than any other. They studied war. They studied peace. They studied physics, biology, time, and death itself. And when they were exiled, they did not leave quietly. They promised to return. No one believed them. Until now, the council speaker opened a secret archive, old, dusty, and locked for thousands of years. Inside were ancient warnings written by the first civilizations to fight humans. One line repeated many times. If humans ever return, every star will shake. The speaker closed the archive. Fear spread across his face. Before anyone could speak again, a new alert flashed across the hall. Live feed received. A scout ship from the outer rim had found something. Everyone watched as the hologram changed to a shaking video. At first, nothing appeared. Only a dying red sun glowing weakly behind a curtain of dust clouds. Then, a shadow, huge, silent, slowly moving across the sun like a dark moon. The scout captain whispered through the radio. "Council, we have a shape here. A ship, a very large ship." The camera focused. A single massive structure filled the screen. It was not like any vessel ever recorded. It was longer than a city, darker than the void, and covered in glowing silver lines that pulsed like veins. The captain continued in a trembling voice. This is ancient human design, but it is too big, too advanced, too alive." The council chamber went silent. Alive? Before the speaker could ask more questions, the feed erupted with static. Something bright flashed across the video. The captain screamed. The camera shook violently. Then everything went black. The feed ended. Panic spread instantly. Some species shouted. Others hid behind their seats. A few demanded war, while others demanded peace. The council speaker hammered the floor. "Silence. This is not an attack. This is a warning." But deep down, he wasn't sure. Across the galaxy, fear grew like a wildfire. Trade routes shut down. Border planets went into lockdown. Refugees filled spaceports. Every race remembered the legends. Humans do not return without reason. And if they return, something far worse is behind them. On a quiet library moon far from the council, an old alien historian named Sirac worked alone. He had spent his life studying forbidden human knowledge. While everyone else feared humans, Sirac admired them. He believed their exile was a mistake. When he heard the news of their return, he rushed to open an old human tablet he had hidden in secret. The tablet displayed a final message recorded before the exile. "If the void wakes, we will return, not to destroy, but to save, even if you fear us." Sirac felt a cold shiver run down his back. Something had awakened in the outer void. something powerful enough to push humans back into the galaxy, something that even the ancient human empire feared. He stepped outside the library dome to warn his people. But it was too late. A huge shadow slowly moved across the sky. Serac looked up, his heart pounding. A warship, black, silent, and overwhelming, descended like a floating mountain. Its surface glowed with the same silver vein seen in the scout ship video. The ground trembled. The air shook. The lost human empire had returned, and no one knew if they came as saviors, or the galaxy's final judgment. Dark clouds rolled over Serac's library moon, shaking the air with a deep humming sound. The giant human warship hovered above the sky, like a silent god made of metal and shadow. Its surface glowed with silver lines that pulsed slowly, like the heartbeat of a living creature. Serac had studied humans his whole life, but even he had never imagined a ship like this. It was not built. It was grown. The ground trembled. The sky cracked with light. And then the warship spoke. A soft voice echoed through the air, calm and controlled. Moon of Calaris, do not fear. We come with purpose. Everyone froze. The moon citizens came running outside their homes, staring up at the impossible giant above them. No one knew whether to run or kneel. Many fell to the ground in pure shock. Serac whispered to himself, "They learned to talk to planets. They learned to talk to minds." The ship's voice continued, "We seek knowledge. We seek records. We seek truth." A beam of blue light fell from the ship, forming a glowing path in front of the library dome. A human figure stepped out of the light, the first human seen in 10,000 years. Tall, calm, wearing a black suit that looked grown from the same living metal as the ship. His eyes shone with faint silver light, like they had seen many stars and survived them all. He looked at Serac. "You kept the old records," the human said. "Good. We need them." The council's chaos. While Serac faced a human emissary, the Galactic Council fell into complete disorder. The Hall of Judgment was filled with shouting. Fear twisted every voice. Holograms flashed with reports of human sightings on many border systems. A council member screamed, "They are everywhere. They have returned with weapons we cannot understand." Another shouted, "They want revenge. They want our worlds." But the speaker slammed his staff on the floor. "No," he said, "humans do not return for revenge. They were exiled, but they did not forget the void." The chamber fell silent, because every species knew the old story. The outer void was a place where nothing survived, nothing lived, and nothing returned, except humans. "What do they find out there?" the speaker whispered. No one had an answer. The human emissary's warning. Back on the library moon, the human stepped closer to Serac. "We monitored your research for many years," he said. "You are one of the few who did not erase our history." Serac swallowed hard. I believe humans were not the monsters the council claimed." The human smiled faintly, not with pride, but with sadness. "They were afraid of us," he said softly, "but now they should fear something else." Serac felt cold. "The void." The human nodded. "The void is opening. Its creatures are moving. They eat stars. They bend time. They erase entire galaxies." The moon citizens gasped in terror. Serac struggled to speak. "Why are you telling us this?" "Because you must prepare," the human replied. "We came to warn the galaxy. We came to defend it, but we cannot do it alone." He walked toward the library door. "Your records hold the last known location of a void gate. We must find it before they do." Serac's eyes widened. "You mean the void creatures are already inside our galaxy?" The human looked up at the sky. "No, but soon. The first sign of the void." At that exact moment, the sky cracked open above the moon. Not like a storm, not like a meteor, like reality itself had been sliced. A dark hole appeared, twisting and spinning like a black flame. Strange whispers echoed through the air. The ground vibrated. Birds screamed and fell from the sky. Light bent in unnatural shapes. The human emissary looked at the rift without fear. "They found us," he said calmly. "A long, thin creature emerged from the rift. It had no shape, no bones, no face. Its body flowed like liquid shadow. Every eye that looked at it felt pain. Every mind that sensed it felt fear. The moon citizens ran. Some cried. Some fainted. Serac fell to his knees. What is that thing? The human answered. Void spawn. A scout. If it marks this world, the larger ones will come. The creature screamed. A sound like breaking glass inside the soul. The human raised his hand. His suit glowed. Silver light spread across his arm, forming a burning blade made of energy and metal. Stay behind me, he said. The void spawn lunged. The human moved faster than thought. A single slash. A burst of white light. And the creature was torn apart, dissolving into mist. The rift closed instantly as if afraid. Serac stared in pure disbelief. You killed it in one strike. The human shook his head. No, I only prevented it from marking your world. Stronger ones will come. Many stronger. Serac stood slowly. Then we must warn the council. The human looked at the sky, where dozens of other human ships were now appearing, silent, massive, unstoppable. No, he said, we will warn them. He turned back to Serac. And you will help us. Part 2, ending cliffhanger. As the human emissary prepared to leave, the sky filled with hundreds of human warships. Their silver lines glowed brighter than before. The Eternal Empire had returned in full force. But this time they were not alone. Something ancient was hunting them, something older than the galaxy itself. And humanity was the only species that knew how to fight it. The Hall of Judgment was silent for the first time in many hours. After the chaos and arguments, the council members now sat frozen in their places, staring at the hologram of the destroyed scout feed. The image of the massive human ship still floated in the air, dark, silent, and terrifying. The speaker finally spoke. We must send a diplomatic envoy. We must talk to them. A reptilian council member hissed loudly. Talk? To the species we exiled? They have returned with an entire fleet. Another slammed the table with their claws. They will not speak. They will attack. But before the shouting could begin again, every light in the entire station turned blue. A voice echoed in the chamber. Galactic Council, prepare for visitation. The floor vibrated. The air tightened. Guards rushed to their stations. A giant window on the council's hall slowly darkened, as something enormous moved in front of it. A human ship, so large it blocked half the stars. The council speaker's heart froze. They found us. Human diplomats arrive. A beam of silver light shot down into the center of the hall, forming a glowing circle. Guards aimed their weapons. Some council members hid behind their seats. The light softened, and 3 human figures stepped out of it. They were calm, tall, sharp-eyed, and their suits glowed with the same silver lines as the living warships outside. The leader stepped forward, hands raised peacefully. I am Envoy Orion, representative of the Eternal Human Empire. The council watched in silence. Orion's voice was deep but calm, like he had practiced peace more than war. We come not to fight, he said, but to warn. The youngest council member laughed nervously. A warning? After bringing a fleet to our doorstep? Orion looked at him with eyes that carried 10,000 years of storms. Your council sent an exile, not an execution. We kept our promise. And now we return with another promise, one you must understand. He lifted a small device. It projected a hologram of the rift that opened above Serac's moon. The room fell silent again. The image glowed with frightening energy, dark tendrils, twisting shapes, a point where reality itself broke like shattered glass. Void spawn, Orion said. A small one. A council member whispered, small? Orion nodded. Yes, the larger ones can cut planets open. The ancient ones can drink stars. The council speaker trembled. And why are they coming now? Orion lowered the device. Because the void is awakening. We sealed it long ago, but time erodes all things, even walls between universes. His eyes darkened. You exiled us to survive, but we left to protect the galaxy from what sleeps beyond. Serac joins the council. While Orion spoke, a second beam of light appeared in the hall. Serac stepped out, the human emissary beside him. Council members gasped. "Serac?" the speaker asked. "Why are you with them?" Serac bowed slightly. "Because they saved my world," he said. "And because my records may be the key to stopping the void." The speaker swallowed hard. "Is this true?" The human emissary stepped forward. "Yes. Serac protected information your council tried to erase. His archive holds the location of the first void gate." A council member trembled. "You mean the gate is still active?" Orion nodded. "We detected energy from it. If we do not stop it soon, the void will open fully." Murmurs filled the chamber. Fear spread like smoke. The speaker finally spoke. "Then what do you want from us?" Orion answered immediately. "Your cooperation. Your fleets. Your science. Your unity." He raised his head. "And your trust." The council looked around at one another. Trust humans? After so many centuries of silence? After exiling them? But they had no choice. The void was something far older and far deadlier. A shadow passes the stars. Before the council could respond, alarm screamed across the hall. "Alert! Unknown mass detected. Alert! Star energy drain spike. Alert! Rift formation developing." The station's main window went black, not because of darkness, but because something blocked the entire view. A shape, massive, horrific, wrong. A creature, a void spawn, but not a small one. It opened 1,000 glowing eyes that had no pupil, no soul, just hunger. Its body was a swirling mix of shadow, dust, and melted space. Orion whispered, "No, not this soon." The council speaker fell back in fear. "What is that monster?" "A harvester," Orion said. "A mid-class void beast." "Mid-class?" the speaker shouted. "This is mid-class?" Orion didn't look away from the creature. "Yes. If a god class comes, there will be no galaxy left to defend." The harvester opened its enormous jaws, not made of teeth, but of broken reality. The stars behind it vanished. "One breath," Orion said softly, "and it will swallow your station whole." He turned to the council. "Give us your answer now." Part 3, ending cliffhanger. The council speaker shouted, "Yes, yes, we accept alliance." Orion lifted his hand. Outside the window, the largest human warship moved forward, the same giant ship seen in the scout feed. Its silver veins glowed bright like burning suns. It fired. A white beam ripped through space, hitting the harvester in its chest. The creature screamed, a cry that shook the station, and then its body exploded into dust and dark light. The council stared in shock. Orion finally turned back to them. This was only the beginning. The dust of the destroyed harvester scattered across space like dark snow. The Galactic Council watched in stunned silence as the creature's remains faded into the void, some members trembling, some unable to speak, others staring at the human envoy Orion with a new kind of fear, not fear of attack, but fear of truth. Humans had returned with power beyond imagination. The speaker slowly stood up, still breathing heavily. You destroyed that monster with one strike," he said. "How did you do that? What technology is this?" Orion did not look proud. Instead, he looked tired. "That was not a full strike," he said. "Just a control beam, enough to push the creature back into instability." The speaker blinked. "If this was controlled, what is a full strike?" Orion paused, then answered softly. "A full strike would destroy the harvester and the star behind it." The entire hall fell silent again. Serac stepped beside Orion. "It is true. The energy used by human ships is not from normal reactors." A council member whispered nervously. "Then from where?" Serac looked at the humans. Orion nodded permission. Serac explained. "Humans learned to tap into quantum scars left behind by dead universes. They use that energy to power their weapons and ships." A council member gasped. "That's impossible." Orion shook his head. "No, that was only step one." He raised a small cube-shaped device. It glowed with faint light, shifting in shape like it was alive. This is an eternal core, the heart of every human warship. It does not draw energy from stars. It draws from the spaces between time. The speaker's voice cracked. You mean your empire runs on power sources older than the galaxy? Yes, Orion said softly. And we needed them to fight the void. The galaxy's betrayal, revealed. A tall insectoid council member finally asked the question everyone feared. If humans were so advanced, why did you let us exile you? Why didn't you resist? Orion stood still. The room waited. Then he spoke. Because we were not exiled for being dangerous. We were exiled because we asked for unity. The council chamber filled with confusion. Orion continued. 10,000 years ago, the first void gate opened. We warned the galaxy. We begged for an alliance. We asked all species to stand together. But the council refused. Serac added quietly. The old council claimed humans lied. They said humans wanted control. Orion nodded. They feared our growth, our inventions, our ability to adapt. So instead of helping us stop the void, he looked around the room. They banished us. The speaker closed his eyes. The council made a mistake. Yes, Orion replied. But the price of that mistake is coming now. The hologram of the harvesters remains flickered in the air. A larger void gate is forming. Our fleet cannot stop alone. We need every species, every ship, every mind. If you want to survive, you must join us. The council's decision. The council whispered among themselves. Fear clung to every corner of the hall. Some members wanted to agree. Others feared human power too much. Finally, the speaker raised his hand. We agree to the alliance. Every council member slowly nodded, except one. A cold, tall reptilian general stood up sharply. No, this is a trick, he hissed. Humans want control of the galaxy. They want to rule. Orion did not react. He simply watched. The general pointed toward the window. Why did you bring such a massive fleet here? Why come with warships, not diplomats? Orion's eyes hardened. Because, he said, the void does not negotiate. The general opened his mouth to argue, but suddenly froze. Every screen in the council hall went black. Then one by one, they lit up with the same terrifying message. Void signal detected. Gate activity rising. Sector 12 collapse imminent. The speaker turned pale. Sector 12, that is a populated region. Orion lifted his wrist console. We detected the same spike. A gate is opening there. A big one. Serac whispered. How much time? Minutes, Orion said. The first joint operation. Orion turned to the council. Give us access to your navigation grids, your map archives, your defense frequencies. The speaker hesitated, but only for a moment. Granted. Orion nodded. Good. Now we deploy. The human emissary tapped his wrist. The human fleet outside shifted formation instantly, silent and precise. Massive ships moved like shadows obeying one mind. The council screens updated. Mission initiated. Target. Void Gate, Sector 12. Fleet. Human Eternal Empire, primary. Support, Galactic Council, secondary. The speaker watched the operation begin. For the first time in council history, humans and the council worked together. The crack in reality. But as the first human ships reached Sector 12, something horrifying appeared on the feed. Not one gate. Three massive rifts opening at once, spreading like wounds across the fabric of space. Violet lightning spiraled around them. Black mist poured out, and from deep inside the rifts something moved. Something huge. Orion stiffened. No, this is not a normal invasion. This is a breach. Serac grabbed the table. What does that mean? Orion answered without blinking. It means the void is no longer sending scouts. His voice dropped. It is sending soldiers. Part 4 ending cliffhanger. The lights flickered. The screens vibrated. And the last image the council saw was a gigantic shape emerging from the central gate, bigger than moons, covered in hundreds of glowing eyes. A creature older than galaxies. Human ships charged toward it, But even their weapons look small now. Orion whispered, "Prepare your worlds. This is only the beginning." At the edge of Council space, a small patrol ship drifted silently. Its hull lights blinked in a slow pattern, bored and routine. Inside, the crew of 3 relaxed in their chairs, expecting another dull shift with nothing but empty stars. Then the radar officer sat up straight. "Captain, something is moving." Captain Nalos did not look away from his screen. Probably space dust, or an old satellite. Ignore it. But the officer leaned forward, eyes wide. "No, sir, this is control movement." Now the captain turned. "What size?" The radar officer swallowed. "Tiny, but incredibly fast." Before anyone could speak again, a new object appeared on the holoscreen. A metallic shape wrapped in dark armor, moving with impossible precision. The officer whispered, "Sir, it's human." The captain felt his throat tighten. That's impossible. Humans were exiled. Their tech was destroyed. The object moved closer. Not big, not threatening. Just silent, watching. "Open a channel," the captain said, forcing calm into his voice. "This is Council Patrol 99. Identify yourself." For a moment, there was nothing. Then a human voice responded. Smooth, calm, confident. "This is Scout Unit Helios, 3 of the returned human empire." Every muscle in the patrol crew froze. The voice continued. "Do not be alarmed. We are only observing your border defenses." Captain Nalos stared at the speaker. "Observing? That is a hostile action." "No," the human replied quietly. "It is preparation." The captain felt cold sweat gather on his forehead. Preparation for what? "For our homecoming." Before the captain could answer, warning alarms screamed across the patrol ship. Energy surge. Unknown weapon signature. It's from the human unit. The captain's eyes widened. "Raise shields." But it was too late. The human scout ship didn't fire a normal weapon. Instead, a wave of brilliant white light spread from its hull, not exploding, but absorbing. The patrol ship shook violently. Lights flickered. Console shut down. "Sir, our weapons gone. Our engines offline. We're dead in space." The human voice returned, calm as ever. "This is a non-lethal disablement. We are not here to destroy you." The captain growled. "Then why attack us?" "Because," the human answered, "the Council will send fleets soon. We want to make sure they understand something important." The captain clenched his fists. "Understand what?" "That humans no longer fear exile." Static crackled. Then the line cut. The small human vessel rotated once, as if giving a silent salute. Then it vanished into warp space, moving faster than any ship the Council had ever seen. Silence filled the patrol ship. The crew sat in shock, surrounded by dead screens and frozen systems. Finally, the radar officer whispered, "Sir, if that was only a scout." Delos nodded slowly, fear sinking into him like ice. Then the real human fleet must be something far worse. Across the galaxy, deep inside the human empire's hidden territory, Commander Eric Vale stood on the bridge of the Aegis Eternal, the largest ship humanity had ever created. Its hull stretched across kilometers of polished black metal, glowing with shifting energy veins. The ship was quiet, focused, ready. Eric watched the new tactical update. "Patrol ship disabled," reported Lieutenant Miravos, her voice steady. "No casualties. No counterattack." "Good." Eric nodded. "We do not fire first." Mira allowed a faint smile. "But we finished the fight if they started." Eric looked out at the stars. "We were exiled because they feared us," he said. "Now, they will learn one simple truth." A deep hum moved through the Aegis Eternal as its main engines powered up. "Humanity does not kneel." He turned to his officers. "Prepare the fleet. Shadow formation." One by one, massive human ships appeared from dark space. Silent, sleek, deadly. They moved into perfect alignment behind the Aegis Eternal. The formation stretched like a wall of shadows, ready to move. Mira checked the final range calculations. "Commander, Once we cross the border, the Council will activate every defense they have. Eric nodded. Let them. He walked to the center platform. Holographic stars floated around him. Human ships gleamed like dragons in the dark. We have returned, he said, voice low and steady. Not as victims, not as outcasts. His eyes hardened, but as the Empire they feared. Back inside the Council chamber, High Speaker Valder listened to the patrol report, trembling. Humans disabled an entire patrol ship without killing anyone, he said. That technology is beyond anything we have. Elder Jorah nodded. They learned in exile, grew in exile, evolved in exile. Valder whispered, What do we do now? Jorah looked up at the screens, showing human fleet movements. We pray, she said softly, because humans are no longer knocking on our borders. Her eyes darkened. They're already inside. The human fleet moved like a giant shadow across the border of Council space. Not rushing, not attacking, just advancing with calm confidence, each ship glowing with silent power. In the center, the Aegis Eternal led the formation. Its black armor reflected the stars like a living void. Inside, the bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of energy lines moving on the floor. Commander Eric Vale studied the updated galaxy map. Red lines marked Council territory. Blue lines, once invisible, now spread across the map, showing every system reclaimed by humans. We hold 43 sectors now, Lieutenant Miravos reported. And rising. Eric nodded. Good. Maintain speed. A young officer approached, nervous. Sir, Council fleets are forming. They will intercept us in less than an hour. Mira smirked slightly. Let them try. Eric's voice stayed calm. Send the message. The officer tapped a glowing screen. Message sent. Throughout Council space, every communication device flickered. Every holo panel. Every broadcast tower. Even private screens. All turned black. Then a single image appeared. A human symbol. A circle split by 3 white lines. The mark of the returned human empire. And beneath it, a message. We are not here to conquer. We are here to reclaim what was stolen. The broadcast lasted only 10 seconds. But 10 seconds were enough to send shockwaves rippling across the galaxy. Inside the Council War Hall, sirens flashed across the giant tactical table. Dozens of delegates shouted over one another as news of a human broadcast poured in. They're threatening us. They are destabilizing civilian systems. They have violated every border law. This is war. High Speaker Valder struck the table with his staff. Silence. The room quieted, though the fear did not fade. Valder turned to Elder Jorah, voice shaking. Your predictions were right. Humans are rising again. What do you suggest now? Jorah walked slowly toward the holographic galaxy map. Her cracked silver skin glowed faintly in the blue light. Humans do not fight for the sake of power, she said. They fight for meaning. A counselor scoffed. Meaning? They were exiled because they were dangerous. Jorah's old eyes hardened. They were dangerous because they refused to kneel. And now they return with the same spirit, but greater strength. Another counselor spoke, voice trembling. We cannot stop them. Not anymore. Jorah nodded. No, but we can understand them. Valder gripped his robe tightly. And if we fail to understand? Jorah looked him in the eye. Then we will not survive their return. Meanwhile, in deep space, Council Fleet intercept Point Delta. Captain Raynor of the Seraphon Fleet looked at his officers. His wings twitched with nerves. Status report. We detect 30 human ships, his tactical officer said. But, sir, their energy signatures are strange. Raynor frowned. Strange how? They appear dormant, but power readings are extremely high. It's like the ships are sleeping. Raynor stared out the front window. If this was the human idea of a warning, it was terrifying. Prepare the fleet, he ordered. Weapons on standby. If they make one aggressive move. He never finished the sentence. A human ship suddenly appeared directly in front of them. Black, silent, massive, not warlike, just present. Rayner froze. The human ship didn't target them, didn't move weapons, didn't activate shields. Instead, a calm voice echoed through every Seraphon speaker. "This is Commander Eric Vale. Lower your weapons. We will not strike first." Rayner swallowed hard. "Why are you here?" he asked. Eric's answer was simple: to return home. "And if we stop you?" A long, heavy silence. Then Eric spoke with quiet steel in his voice. "Then you will fail." The turning moment. Without warning, hundreds of lights burst across the starfield. Flashes of blue, white, and gold. Council reinforcement fleets jumped into the sector. Hundreds of ships. Then thousands. The Seraphon officer gasped. "Sir, the full Council armada has arrived." A tidal wave of ships filled the void. Cannons charged. Shields rose. Engines flared. The Council had shown its true power. Human ships remained still, motionless, unshaken. Miraval stepped beside Eric. "Sir, they outnumber us." Eric looked out at the ocean of enemies. "We expected that." Mira smirked. "Ready to send a final message?" Eric gave a slow nod. Broadcast. A pulse of light swept through space. Every ship, human and Council, received the message instantly. Eric Vale's voice echoed across thousands of bridges. "We are the returned human empire. We will not fight unless forced. But understand this. We survived exile. We survived darkness. We survived being erased. So, if you raise your weapons against us..." The message paused. Across the armada, every crew member held their breath. "You will learn why the galaxy feared humans." Back on the Council flagship, Valder stared at the message replaying on the screen. "This is it," he whispered. "The point of no return." Elder Jorah closed her eyes. "The humans are asking for peace," she said. "But if we deny them even that small hope, they will rise with the full power of their new empire." Valder whispered, "Then gods help us." Jorah opened her eyes slowly. "Humans do not need gods," she said. "They become their own.